Hello, and welcome to the Soul of Innovation podcast. I am the host, Thomas Anglero, and my mission for this podcast is to share with you those private thoughts and reflections that I have, being one of the top keynote speakers around the world on technology, motivation, and innovation. I hope you truly enjoy all the lessons I share, all the dots I connect that sometimes are just really difficult to get out, but it's all for you. I truly hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to the Soul of Innovation podcast. I am Thomas Anglero, and let me ask you a question. Do you always see life through your own perspective? And I know you do. We all do. That's sort of our default premise. Everything we see is from our perspective. We wonder why don't I have this? Why am I not happy? Why did this person do this to me? Why am I not where I am supposed to be? Why do these things happen at work? Why do I blah, 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 blah? Everything is from your perspective, your own or our own individual perspective. But sometimes that blinds us. Sometimes that will blind you to actually what's happening in that very moment. Actually, it does it almost every time. Let me share with you a story about what I experienced just the other day. And you realize how just being caught up with just your own perspective, just too many times or too often, can actually destroy a lifetime of relationships. The other day I was with a family friend who's moving from their house. They've been living in this house for 26 years. Same neighbors for 26 years, but their closest neighbor, 26 years. We were there at the house, taking the last stuff out of the house, and we ran into the neighbor, and she came over, and I've met her several times before. We're not close friends, but I met her. First, I met her husband, who was so nice. He helped us carry some stuff. But in that time, he never looked me in the eye. And I was wondering, I've known this guy for a very long time, and he could not look me in the eye. And I was like, what's wrong? There's something wrong. And then a few moments later, I met his wife, and she came over. But you know, when people come over to you and they start talking, and they talk with an agenda, they talk with something else on their mind. So she was being very cordial, very polite, and then she got to where she wanted to go. She had a list of complaints of things she wanted done to make sure that the house that my friend is selling, his property looks beautiful towards her side of her house and her property. That is so incredibly ugly if my friend who's selling her house leaves it this way, that way, this way. She just went ballistic for 20 minutes complaining. That was her agenda. That was her thing. You can't do this, you can't do that, telling her what she can and cannot do, which she has no right to do. And I looked at her husband, and his eyes were distant. But as he walked, he had some confidence to him. Confidence I've seen in other men before. And those men out there that are listening, you know what I'm talking about. Because he knew something she didn't know. Anyway, the conversation ended between my friend and this neighbor woman. Because my friend had it with her. She was polite. She says, thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. And the woman kept on complaining. He said, okay, whatever. And what I realized was, this neighbor woman, after 26 years of being neighbors, after 26 years of hearing everything, she didn't realize that was going to be the last conversation ever. I asked my friend, is that woman always that way? She says, that woman is a grandmother. And she's told me several times how she does not like her grandchildren. All she does is complain. That's all she's done. And over the years, she's gotten worse. And I looked at her husband. And again, he's not even trying to stand near his wife. Distant from his wife. But there's something about him that had confidence. My reflection was, this woman threw away 26 years of, say, friendship. Maybe not the closest friends. But she threw it away so that she could get in one more dig of all the negative things she sees and has or hates. All the negativity in her heart and her mind. And a husband who has seen that negativity grow and the darkness take over her had removed himself from her life. And he obviously had another life in parallel. And he didn't care about this person that she was. Now, I have no facts to back this up, but I'm pretty damn good at reading people. And I thought it was, what a shame. Here's this woman, 70-something years old. Last conversation with a neighbor who knew her back when she was in her 40s. When she was, I won't say in an absolute prime, but coming out of her absolute prime. And they could reflect it on that. They could have rejoiced in that. Could have told stories about those wonderful days. And she was so caught up in her perspective, so caught up in her own world, that she disrespected the moment and lost that moment of where she could have felt like she was young again, vibrant again, the world was perfect again, and spent it complaining about being negative. How often do you get caught up in your moment? Do you get up in your perspective? You get caught up in your mind? You get caught up in your world? And use perspective of where you are, what you're doing, where you've been. You could have turned the clock back. Whenever you have a conversation with someone that you've known for a long time, it's an opportunity to turn the clock back. And most of us turn the clock back is a wonderful thing. You meet a friend from high school. You could talk about those old stories, those teachers that you had, those dances, those events, those classes, those terrible homework assignments, all those things that make you feel young again. And instead we choose to complain. Why do we do that? Why do we lose the value of the moment, the beauty of the moment, the ability to time travel? Get it? Be aware of all your moments. Live in the now. And time travel. Time travel whenever you talk to people that you've known. And when you talk to people that you don't know, time travel by telling the stories of who you were. And then time travel and tell them stories of where you're going. Time travel is possible when you don't live in a negative world, but you live in a world that you control, that is beautiful. Go forth and spread beauty and light. Do not get caught up in negative thoughts. Do not get caught up in things that take you from where you're supposed to be. Time travel and control your destiny. I love you, and I look forward to running into you and hearing your stories and hearing your plans for the future. Take care of yourself. Until the next time. Thank you for listening to that episode. If you want to contact me, you can contact me on my website at englero.com, and you can also subscribe to the newsletter, or you can find me anywhere on social media with Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you so much, and I hope to hear from you very soon.